Hey, hello sacred friends, and welcome back. I am Lori Andrus. Today I want to share with you a couple things. The first is that I want to share with you the 2023 Crystal of the Year, and the next is that I want to share a couple of core messages that have been coming forward as this year of 2022 winds down and we actually cross that threshold into the new year. This is such a beautiful time of the year. I feel like there are many phases or stages or aspects or facets, whatever word really lights you up there, to bringing the year to a sacred and soulful close. A couple weeks ago, I did an episode sharing a couple of my favorite practices to lean into as the year is winding down. I look at this season or these last couple of weeks of December as a time where we're really opening the gateway into a new year and we're creating a sacred close to the experiences that we've had in the previous year. I feel like it's a time to get quiet, to listen, to slow down, to pause, and really open our hearts to an energy of deeper understanding, insight, messages, and wisdom regarding what we've experienced over the past year. It's an opportunity to be reflective, offering gratitude, releasing and letting go of what's complete, and then at the same time creating space for what is coming next and planting seeds of intention, letting our mind drift, letting our thoughts drift and our awareness drift into new ideas and inspiration, and let those come forward so that we can plant the seeds for the coming year. Well, one of the important pieces for me along the way during these last couple of weeks of December is to do an annual crystal forecast. Basically what I do is I sit down, I connect with the crystal and stone realms, I invite their energies forward, and I work with a deck of crystal cards, crystals that I work with frequently, that I'm very familiar with. So I go into the place of doing a reading and I call forward an ally, a crystal ally for each of the 12 months. I begin with a crystal for the entire year, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video today, or in this episode. We're going to talk about that crystal for the year and why it's really such a great ally. I look at crystals and stones as allies, and I don't look at the forecast so much as predictive, but rather as opening space for insight regarding maybe some ways that we can navigate things that pop up as we move through the year. There's always an interesting ebb and flow of life, twists, turns, things that are unexpected in delightful and in challenging ways. And I look at the crystals and stones as allies for navigating those challenges or opportunities. They can show us how to connect with different facets and aspects of ourselves and really anchor into a deeper, more meaningful connection with the earth and with life itself. So when we called forward the crystal of the year this year, the crystal for 2023, I found myself pretty delighted. And that's kind of an understatement. Partly because as I was tuning into the energy for the coming year, one of the core themes that I was really seeing is that this is a year for soul connection and connecting in with our inner light, allowing what creates our light to shine brightly and brilliantly in the world. And what I was really feeling is that it's time for us to nurture and nourish our inner worlds in such a way that our light just naturally leads. Well, As we sat down, I couldn't think of a better crystal than what actually just showed up on its own, which was citrine. Yeah, when the citrine card popped up, my energy just lit up and expanded in really beautiful ways. Citrine is going to be the 2023 Crystal Ally of the Year. Oh yeah. So if you've been working with crystals or stones for a while, you are familiar with this one. I've got a couple little pieces here in front of me. These aren't very big, but they're beautiful little points. Oh yeah, I just love this one. I love how flat it is. Yeah, so fantastic. And the coloring is just beautiful. It's kind of smoky, smoky toned on that one. And this one, oh, it just feels luminescent. Just like a nice little, I always like to, this one just feels really great in my hand. The citrine is such a great ally for connecting in with our inner light, our inner light, and letting it shine brightly. But there's also a core message that always comes forward when I begin to work with citrine. And that message is around letting ourselves be pleasantly surprised. Yeah. And this is one of the core themes that's actually emerging. When I sat down today to prepare for this video, I made myself a cup of tea, and I had already tuned in and written down just a brief note about each of the themes. When I went and got my cup of tea and brought it and sat it down next to my notebook, I was a little shocked that the yoga tea message was nearly identical to one of the themes that I had already put down here. And this message is around going into the unknown, letting our inner light lead. This was the phrase that came forward. Let your inner light lead. And what I keep seeing for a visual as I tune into that phrase is a beautiful pathway in the deep, dark night that leads to a cave. And along that pathway is citrine crystals and candlelight. And it is the light within, like the candlelight and the citrine both reflecting that light within. Well, the fun thing that popped up on my yogi tea bag was this message. The unknown is where all outcomes are possible. Enter it with grace. Well, at the end of that trail, that winding trail in the night, middle of the night, lit by candlelight and citrine, it enters into a cave. And the cave of the unknown is what I kept seeing. Letting ourselves be pleasantly surprised requires us to open space for new possibilities. It requires us to be a little bit courageous and cross the threshold into the unknown, giving ourselves permission to dance on that edge of what is not familiar in our world, to open space for new possibilities. Yeah. So as we move into 2023, I think really, especially at this time, as we're crossing the threshold into the new year and moving through the first couple months in this winter season, we're really going to feel this energy of letting our inner light lead, being an important aspect of how we navigate these next couple months, letting ourselves really listen within, paying attention to what lights us up, and finding the courage and willingness to cross the threshold into the unknown. Okay, the next piece that came forward as just a really clear message for this first part of the year is to filter the noise. Yeah, this is a big one, I think, as we're winding down the year and crossing that threshold. But I also think that this is going to be a significant theme moving through 2023. I think a lot of us have become conditioned to experience and tune into and feel and be surrounded by a lot of noise. What would it look like to shake off the noise? What is the noise in your world? That's kind of a big question. I think sometimes we immediately think of, Netflix, Hulu, whatever your binge-worthy channel is, or social media. We go to the technology. But I want to invite you to step back and look at that from other layers as well. Sometimes the noise is old stories and patterns. It's the beliefs that are running on repeat that no longer match our becoming, that are echoing and creating noise within ourselves, distraction, chaos, overwhelm. Sometimes the noise is expectations, from family traditions to cultural norms and expectations that we think we need to meet. And those pieces can echo so loudly that we mistake them as our own voice. This year, I think we're going to be really given a lot of opportunities to just shake off those places where the external noise is not our truth. To really begin to find clarity around what is true, what is true for us, what lights us up within, and then how can we live according to that. All right, and then the third message that came forward as we step into the new year from our crystal of the year, Citrine, is to pause and be discerning. This is a really important time to, again, listen within. I've said this probably in many different ways today, but ultimately let yourself pause when you're making decisions, when you're saying yes or no, when you're planning your schedule, when you're looking at the calendar and laying things out for the year. Pause. Be very discerning about how, when, where, why you are using and sharing, expressing, offering your energy into the world. And make sure that you are fully nourishing your inner light in ways that feel natural and authentic. Pause in discernment. All right, so with that, my sacred friends, if you want to catch the full forecast, you can head on over to my website, laurieandros.com/events. The replay's available for you. You just need to sign up. Over the next couple weeks, I'll be sinking into that a little bit more and sharing more elements of it with you. But for now, I really wanted to share the crystal of the year and 3 core messages that have come forward. Also, if you want to dive deeper into how do we work with and live into the wisdom that's being shared by the crystals and stones within the annual forecast, along with the natural rhythms and cycles of life and how to move with them in ways that feel natural and authentic and in alignment for you, as well as working with sacred practices and being in sacred community. I'd love for you to join me in the Sanctuary Circle. You can head on over to my website, laurieandros.com/sanctuary, and there you will find all the information about what the Sanctuary Circle looks like. We gather for community calls, for full moon ceremonies. There's a monthly message that comes forward where we sink into each of the crystals of the month and the current themes that are emerging and how do we navigate some of that. All right, I wish you a beautiful day, sacred friend. As always, shine brightly. Bye for now.